He says that US did not know about Israeli strikes.
The implications of developments in the Middle East for the US economy are...
Energy facilities are now being targeted on both sides.
A US-owned oil tanker was hit by Iran.
Oil prices are on fire.
Said that the United States destroyed military sites on Karg Island.
And now when the oil price is above 100,
global oil prices have surged by more than 40% since the US-Israel combined launched an attack.
Crude oil prices have been swinging wildly around the $100 per barrel mark. As the war on Iran looks all set to reach its third week, a warning issued on 3rd March rings loudly. The Egyptian Prime Minister had rightly predicted increased insurance costs. But only a naive person would say Trump was unaware of this possibility. With the US and Israeli launching strikes on the oil-rich Iran at the end of February, all eyes were on the American Federal Reserve.
Today, the FOMC decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. The implications of developments in the Middle East for the US economy are uncertain. We will remain attentive to risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
After all, the dollar decides which direction the oil flows, the economy moves, and the earth revolves, right? The Americans are playing a dangerous game. The attempt is clear. Force the world to heel, plata or plomo. Pablo Escobar's famous line from the Netflix hit series Narcos fits perfectly here. The Trump regime is playing a very dangerous game.
In the middle of an international crisis like the war with Iran, the State Department would usually be at the center of the action. But interviews with more than a dozen current and former officials say that the department is understaffed, demoralized, and struggling to fulfill its basic functions. More than 4,000 employees have left the department since the beginning of 2025, and interviews with officials say that these losses are having a profound impact on the department's ability to deliver services to American citizens and to advise policymakers in the midst of what is a growing war in the Middle East.
Donald Trump has pretty much declared open season on any economy that does not fit into the American or Western system. It started with kicking Russia off from the SWIFT system, then the Venezuela regime change, and culminated in Iran. Or at least, so the Americans might have predicted, they killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and all was on track. At least for a while there. This war on Iran, brought by US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, may have made the world smaller once again. How? Let us dive right in.
I was over there in Desert Storm, so I know about how the war affect gas prices.
Fitch Ratings dropped a scary insight on 16th March. The credit rating agency said they consider the London market and global specialty insurers to be the most directly exposed to the conflict. This may not seem like much until you hear what Fitch estimates. Approximately 1,000 vessels were in the Gulf as of 16th of March, with estimated hull values of over $25 billion US. Hull value is the agreed upon sum of maximum insurance for a vessel or aircraft. And with the missiles flying, insurance rates have gone up by less than 0.5% to over 1.5%. That might not sound huge, but when you consider the average value of tankers ranging from $17 to $100 million, the impact is huge. Lloyd's, a British underwriter, is at the center of the storm. After the initial strikes and Iran's revenge blitz, reports surfaced that marine insurers were refusing to underwrite trips from the Strait of Hormuz. Marine insurance also has a clause that allows cancellation of police, IS, with just a 48-hour notice, which led to analysts, including Jefferies, to opine that a lot of insurance of ships in the Gulf may have been trashed. The UK government has reacted, saying they are working with allies to reopen the strait. But ever the man for the occasion, the deal-making president had another surprise up his sleeve. On 6th March, as the war on Iran reached its first week, the U.S. International Development Financial Corporation announced a $20 billion plan for marine reinsurance. They then partnered with the American insurance company Chubbs. And with that move, Donald Trump may have destroyed Lloyd's dominance in maritime insurance. As the crisis unfolded, a major American challenger was hit. Yes, China, which reportedly depends on Iran for discounted fuel, was left watching as the Strait of Hormuz turned into a war zone. Remember, the US sanctions on anyone it sees as an enemy, including Russia, Iran, and North Korea, has forced global powers to stick with Western end systems and the dollar trade. However, in 2021, Tehran and Beijing signed an agreement to secure $400 billion of oil at below prevailing market rates. In exchange, China invested in Iran's infrastructure and security cooperation. As of the end of 2025, China was importing around 1.4 million barrels per day from Iran, making up for around 13% of its crude imports and around 80 to 90% of Tehran's oil exports. So, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps was a two-edged sword. China has repeatedly urged the US and Israel to cease aggression against Iran, but remains in wait and watch mode. Remember, Beijing has long snubbed the White House by securing its energy from sanctioned sources, including Russia. Remember, after abducting Maduro from Venezuela and putting in place a so-called friendly regime, the US has also gotten Venezuela to basically hand over its crude oil and infrastructure to American corporates. Now the US has also lifted sanctions on Venezuelan oil, giving more alternatives to the Iranian oil, but from approved sources. A layman would say, only American profits are insured in all this chaos. A more astute analysis would be that lives will be lost for American corporate profits. So, is this Donald Trump's way to make the world walk America's path, or the most dangerous game?